Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the LCK Worlds Gauntlet. And, well, that first game was kind of one, if you're a Sandbox fan, where you want to sweep that under the rug, put it in a back closet somewhere, and show nobody about it. Because that was one of the worst games I've ever seen that team play, honestly. And we're here in the Gauntlet where they're trying to get into Worlds, and they're coming in with that kind of play. That's not going to cut it, honestly. And if we see more of that over and over, I would not be surprised if Kingzone took a 3-0.
No, I think definitely Kingzone look like they could 3-0. And that's a really scary thing to say. I was ready to call that game over in 7 minutes, if you remember.
Yeah.
With what was happening down in the bottom lane. But that game is really interesting for me because it definitely takes the cake and goes in my top 5 worst drafts that I've ever witnessed in LCK, at least in Season 9. Which is a pretty hard thing to achieve.
We've had a lot of bad drafts, if you remember.
You know, and it's interesting. So we'll see what happens in game number 2 and what type of counter picks they can maybe look for, because that's the whole problem, right? Is that if Kingzone can just throw Rascal on a champion like Karma, it doesn't matter that you have Summon. Top lane just doesn't matter that much. And with the amount of pressure and chaos that Deft can cause, it's just too problematic.
Yeah. We had a couple of guys from Wisconsin. Shout out to your cheese. It's wonderfully delicious. Thanks for listening in.
Deft, I love you. That is
it says Deft Salange, which is I love you. And then fighting from Germany, coming on down as, okay, looks like we're ready to hop back into some League of Legends right about now, as hopefully Sandbox went into the back and figured out what was going wrong. They're going to be on the blue side again, so Kingzone actually choosing red side for game number 2.
Very fast yet again. Yuumi Gragas being banned away, and Kingzone having the red side again is so scary. Aurelia now banned away. That's not the problem. Mid lane champions should not be removed from the equation. Neither should jungle or support. That shouldn't be Sandbox's approach. They should try to remove all the neutralizers.
You think they'll pick up Karma this time around?
I mean, that would probably be their bet. There it is, yeah.
I'm a prophet and I didn't even know it.
So,
I mean, it's the easiest call of all time,
while
especially
Karma
after game 1.
Is a neutralizer, she can still win and dominate the laning phase. So, if it is given over to Summit, even though it is able to be triflexed, now you put Kingzone in an awkward situation where, well, what is Rascal going to actually play up against this Karma?
Oh, okay. I was already writing down Ezreal on my pick ban sheet, but in fact, we are going to see Deft picking up the Xayah here early on, as Silas also going to be taken away.
And now this is basically asking Sandbox if they want to take away the Rakan or risk going up against the Xayah Rakan of Kingzone. And I like what Kingzone are doing, though. They're recognizing that the Karma, her defensive aspects, the scaling aspects of it, Kingzone, if they want to try to take over the game, they're going to have to do so with champions that can do that.
Sandbox is like, you know what's a good draft? What Kingzone did in game 1. Let's take that draft. So far, they've taken 3 picks from the 5.
Let's just see the Rakan.
Oh, okay. There you
go.
go.
The Pike.
Getting aggressive down on the bottom side.
And now here's the thing. When you pick Olaf, you funnel Karma into an archetype that she didn't need to go into. And now you have a mismatch with the Tahm Kench and the Karma, which is why I criticize Olaf even when Kingzone had it last game. Because it wasn't really that impactful for the win itself. It did a few things, but it is off theme with the rest of the champions inside of the draft. This time around, the Pike is going to be able to cause some potential problems if he gets going. And I always like seeing him here in the LCK. Ezreal being banned away which does mean that Varus is still on the agenda. Maybe we'll just see Kingzone ban Varus, as Kiana now has bit the dust.
Yeah, taking away more assassins, more mid laners even, away from Naehyun. You would expect an 80 carry here, but actually Talia is going to be taking off the Rift this time around. So the two picks with some crazy hair, Talia and Ezreal, going to be joining each other on the ban list.
Sandbox's last ban now, and this is problematic because you don't know where the Sylas is going. And Sandbox's team composition, it's already proactive in nature. There's no recalibrating realistically from this point in the draft phase, especially not with what Kingzone have. We'll see what the draft pick is now. Azir, banned away by Sandbox, is a pretty good ban, as Sejuani now going to be picked up.
They already have the Silas, which is one of those counters. They know they're going up against the Olaf, so they just say, let's get a strong, tanky farming jungle coming in here for Cuzz. It does leave the question of where will the Sylas go? What will be the pick for the top lane if Sylas goes mid? Sandbox are going to have to reveal something, although with Renekton and Karma, we have seen them kind of swap places from time to time. You can throw Renekton mid. We've seen SKT do it, have Khan go on the Karma top. So it doesn't necessarily show you their full hands. But
it really just feels like this is the only approach that Sandbox know. And it has such a short... I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate this. But I really can't think of any... I don't know how to describe this. I'm speechless.
Well, I'll give
right
you
now.
some time to think about it.
Time.
For people who are confused, it should be the Karma Tom Kent's bottom lane, just going to sit back and farm. As Kled is going to be snatched up here by Rascal up into the Renekton top, as they knew exactly, pretty much at this point, where everybody is going to be going. And yeah, I like Kingzone's draft. They're really putting it to Sandbox, although they do just have that Sylas for the AP once again, except this time instead of a Kha'Zix, they have a Sejuani to help out with that. Kled always makes things a bit more exciting as well.
Well, the Xayah makes things very problematic for Sandbox, as does the Kled in the later stages of the game. Everyone on Sandbox is short range. Even though they have massive scaling components inside of the Karma and the Rise, that they're in this team composition as a mid-game, power spiky types of champions. Champions that can come online at 1.5 items and be a menace, and they can stay that way for a pretty good portion of the game. The problem is that the way that the rest of the team composition and those champions and how they fit into it come together, 3.5, 4, 5 item mark, doesn't have much leg to stand on against Kingzones, and that's where it gets scary. Now, what happens if the Rise and Karma don't get ahead? Well, there is that scaling component that I mentioned that is a sort of saving grace. The same can't be said, however, for the jungler or the top lane pick, and that's where things get really scary. So we'll have to see what they can do in game number 2, but I really just feel like this is disastrous. We've seen this out of Sandbox so many times this split. They choose needlessly reckless aggression sort of team compositions, and if they fail to make anything happen with it, I'm trying to think what the correct phrasing is for this, but
reckless?
No. There's an analogy to use here, but
oh, I was just talking about
the
player. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit off topic there. Looks like we have a little bit of a delay. Not sure what the problem seems to be, but we were kind of just thrown on camera here, so we'll have to wait and see what it could be. I'm trying to see where the refs are at but based on what I can tell, no refs are really looking into much at all. So maybe there isn't too much of a problem, or it's solved here. What do you see, Lost Sight?
I don't actually see much. I don't have my contacts.
Oh, okay.
In, so. Yeah.
You're just looking back?
I'm blind in my right eye.
Yeah. You showed me the what was it, the concave?
My cornea.
No,
my
not
cornea,
concave, it's convex,
yeah,
right?
I have, like, cone eyes.
Yeah.
It's really...
They point out a little bit.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
So when did you realize that you
Not
were...
as bad as the Game 1 draft, but it's bad.
True. That is true.
Yeah.
When did you realize you were a reptile?
Well...
At what age were you like, oh, I see, okay.
All right. Well, I didn't know that... Well, I got actually really angry because the disease can be frozen. It can be stopped.
Oh, really?
I have keratoconus. It's, I don't know what the ratio is. There's no known cause for it. There's theories about what can accelerate it or potentially cause it. But anyways, basically the cornea just keeps getting thinner and thinner until the point where you can just go blind. Normally, people will get a corneal transplant. I opted for CXL in hopes that maybe medicine can advance in the future.
What is CXL?
Corneal collagen cross-linking. They do something to the eye that freezes the disease.
Okay, so you didn't get a
Stops
transplant.
the progression.
You just stopped it for now.
I stopped it.
Well, I mean, I'm on that same idea of thought with
I
you.
found out because I went to get LASIK, and the doctors at the Korean hospital said, no. We can't do this.
Okay, well, I'm glad you have frozen your corneas and everything is okay for Lost Sight. As we have raised the volume here on the music, which makes me think that we're getting into game here in just a moment. Still trying to figure things out. As I mentioned before, none of the coaches or rather the refs are hanging around anywhere or anything like that. Maybe we just had to do a quick redraft. Not 100% sure, but...
well, they're in lobby, right? I see them... Oh, okay, they're redoing the band pick.
Yeah.
I can see things changing.
They're redoing pick ban, and they wanted to keep it a secret, but we just told everybody. So...
That's okay.
We're just giving everybody an inside look into the backstage of the LCK. We're doing a draft speed run.
Due to Naehyun rune setting bug.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Some Sandbox fans here. But yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I think eventually we'll just be able to grow some stem cells into like new eyes. And you can just remove your old eye and put in the new one, and it's like 20/20 vision. And you have the eyes of like a...
I wish.
You know,
my,
a very young person.
The lenses that I have can actually correct my vision to near...
But they're hard lenses, right?
They're really painful.
Yeah.
They are really, really painful to wear, and they dry out my eyes pretty fast. But when I put them in, I actually get sad. True story.
Because
I see how pretty everything can actually be. Yeah. It's actually sad.
I'm sorry.
I know. Sometimes though, I'll take them places when I want to see the view.
Yeah.
And then I can appreciate it, but then I take them off immediately after.
Do glasses not work at all?
But my cornea's bent.
Maybe you could get like pointy glasses or something like that.
You are a jerk. Okay.
No, I was just curious.
You're trying to make me a circus. Oh, man.
Well, you could just cast the LCK with your clown glasses on. I'm sure everybody would love that. That would be fun.
I'm sad there's no LCK games in October. At least not here. I would dress up like Pennywise or something. I'd come in. It'd be extreme.
Every day a new outfit.
It just came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to see it on Saturday with Atlas. You are not invited.
Yeah, I believe you.
I'm kidding. You're invited.
Am I?
Yes.
I never saw the first one. Or the old one.
You're not invited.
Yeah, I'm not.
Now you're really not invited.
Uninviting myself.
Yeah, all right.
And I don't want to see The Lion King either. I heard that was bad.
Lion King was terrible, apparently. Korea just threw it out of the country.
Not too many good movies on right now. I have a... Okay, well, Anyway, enough about movies. We got League of Legends to talk about. Back taking a look at the compositions here. Olaf's back in the game, as is Karma. Just the way things are trending in this Worlds Gauntlet.
Well, we're going to take a look at the team compositions one more time. Kled, Sejuani, Silas, Zaya, and Pyke at the very bottom there. This team composition doesn't have the most explosive early games unless something happens in bottom or top, but it's going to have a very strong footing in the later stages of the game.
Absolutely. So let's jump into game number 2 and see if Sandbox can grab their mental, or will Kingzone continue with their gauntlet run. Here we go. What the hell? Calm down, Pyke. Just went back and bought a scanner after putting down one of his own wards.
Well, the early game is the thing to watch this time around. Ocean Dragon is actually the first one that has spawned.
That's more like it. If we get Ocean and 2 Cloud Dragons, we can have Monsoon Dragon.
Like
and then it'll fit.
And then it can be like Typhoon Ling Ling.
Yeah.
Which is here right now.
That's the Typhoon that's hitting us currently.
It's awful.
Predator Pyke,
During
by the way.
Apparently it's going to get really bad tomorrow and Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow and Saturday are bad. Thankfully, I heard it's going to clear up before Sunday, which is my hockey day.
Okay.
So I can play outdoors with my friends, some ball hockey.
That's WoW Day.
No. Every day is WoW Day. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. All right. Looks like it's going to be Sandbox here.
Yeah. It's all about the Olaf invades nowadays.
Now, here's the thing that I don't really like is OnFleek taking the Gromp. So when you take the Gromp, you cause the Gromp to respawn and thus rubber band for the opposing jungler. Now, if the opposing jungler ends up showing up to take that Gromp at level 4, he actually gets 10% decreased XP per level that he has above the Gromp. And then it slows down the rubber banding on the Gromp. It's really a feels bad moment. But when you take the Gromp, guarantee that the respawn's going to happen. We'll see if OnFleek actually leaves behind one small wolf. If he doesn't, we see this mistake very... Okay.
Oh.
Now, the only thing that would make this okay is if he really has intentions to go to his blue side jungle, clear the blue side jungle, recall, and then run right back to Sejuani's blue side jungle. That would be the only play, because otherwise you're just doing Cuzz such a huge favor.
Yeah, maybe he's just being a generous guy at the end of it all. As OnFleek doesn't have the best win rate on Olaf, even though Sandbox was one of our most winningest teams in summer, he has not garnered a single win on the Olaf so far. Cuzz looking at a possible gank in the top side, but it's Renekton. Maybe just waiting here and seeing what could happen. He is going to get that first knock-up and will force the flash out of Summit here. As the lane state wasn't in the best spot, but was still able to make that happen, as Rascal taking another trade here. Really trying to get on in there. Just waiting for the Rift Scuttler to spawn, it seems, for Cuzz.
Oh. Sejuani has the smite available, so able to get that Scuttle Crab. And you can see the pings immediately go out. OnFleek hits tab, counts the CS. As heal actually going to be taken away from Joker.
There were way too many minions, and even though Tom Kent is a beefy boy, you do have to be careful about how aggressive you do get. So he made a mistake, but he instantly cleared it up with the heal, just to get himself to safety. So at the end of the day, he will be fine, but he does lose that summoner, which is kind of unfortunate. It was a nice setup play from TusiN and Deft. Cuzz coming down here, he's behind on the jungle against OnFleek, and will have to give up the Scuttle Crab.
Ooh. Really chasing him here.
Okay.
So here's the thing. The Scuttle Crab's going to be taken, the Gromp's respawning. I I don't know what level the Gromp is. If it's actually level 5, now there's probably no way that we're going to find out, but it would be interesting. If it's level 5, Sejuani gets 100 bonus XP as opposed to just 50 if it's level 4.
Yeah.
And now the Wolves are going to rubber band as well, and this it's not the best feeling in the world. So all of Olaf's hard work and effort now works against him because he has yet to clear his own Krug camp down at the bottom. So now Sejuani gets to eat the Wolf camp into the Raptor camp rubber banded and the Krug camp rubber banded. So it really feels bad.
We got a Predator gang coming in here from TusiN. That just kind of looked like a very fast fish swimming down a stream. Not much else in terms of League of Legends we can talk about there. You can tell what he's going for at the Predator, but it just was not going to work out that time around. Dove playing it too safe. You mentioned the rubber banding. Sejuani going to be very happy to pick up the Wolves now. All 3 of them. And just get a nice clear up to the top side.
So OnFleek just hit level 5 off of the Golems. He's probably just going to proceed up to his Raptor camp as Cuzz going to finish that Raptor camp. Probably get level 5 now himself off the respawned Golems and not be that far behind. So the jungler difference, even though the CS would tell you a different story, it's not really that big right now, as you see Cuzz just hit level 5.
Yeah.
And he still has a few more small Golems to go. So the junglers, for the most part, are even, despite being 16 CS difference. That's how...
in terms of XP, which is, of course, the most important thing, but the gold should be slightly in favor of OnFleek.
And now, even if OnFleek gets his rubber banded Wolf camp and Gromp camp, Sejuani are coming up next, and they're going to be worth even more. And so it's just always working in Sejuani's favor, and this is an interesting thing to talk about when lanes don't really have kill pressure, because jungle dynamics like this do end up pacing the early part of the game, and when you get a poor dragon like Ocean Drake that doesn't really benefit either party, especially not with how they conduct themselves in later team fights, becomes really important, because this means that Sejuani was able to basically be in more places. She was able to get Summit Flash, do less, and come out basically even.
Well, that's the way that the rubber banding works, so Sejuani going to be pretty happy about that. Goes to her Gromp. She's down a level. Will be happy with the amount of XP she gets there. And OnFleek actually looking to get aggressive. Goes into the red buff, wants to steal that away. There's no vision of that currently, and there's actually a control ward in the river, so doubtful that they know that he was there. Cuzz still not level 6, actually, after taking the Gromp, so it's going to be pretty big that they take that away from the Sejuani.
He ran right over to his red side jungle. He's going to find out the bad news. And he's probably half a camp away from hitting level 6, and so we'll see what he can do with the Sejuani ultimate. He's going to get it off Wolves right now, I'm assuming. See him ding the level 6, and maybe he'll look for a gank off of this. I don't think he has any reason to recall. And there's the level 6.
You have to imagine, especially with Flash available. He burned the Flash in the top lane, but it's back now for Summit.
I'm casting off the mini-map, Alvin.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually what I'm doing right now. There's not a lot going on in this game. Very different from game number 1.
All the lanes are just farming it out, you know, and so that means we can just take a look at junglers, we can talk about rubber banding and fun stuff like that. Take a look at the items here for TusiN. He has the Moby boost with Predator first. That's why he did return to the mid lane, looking for another opportune moment to go for a gank. Didn't quite work out, just ended up getting a cannon and hanging out there. He's hit level 6 now, so maybe they can make a play in bot lane.
The first fights of the game are going to be the most important to watch. Summit, he's doing a really good job up here. He has a 20 CS lead, but there is a giant minion wave coming in, so we'll see what ends up still being the CS lead after Rascal gets his attempt at farming all of that. Seems like it's going to be a 9 CS advantage in the end, as Sandbox now, they're going to pick themselves up a 10-minute Ocean Dragon. So not the biggest victory, and it also does come at a little bit of a cost. They've invested some control wards for this. I don't know why Kingzone did.
So they were thinking about it there for a moment. TusiN waiting on that dash is going to be able to get away. But yeah, Ocean comes into another Ocean. We have been having an insane amount of rain here in Korea, so it makes sense that we have all the Ocean drinks coming out here. Just able to pick up the objective and walk away. Nobody wants to fight just yet.
Okay, well, Sandbox will find themselves with about a 1,000 gold lead at the 10.5-minute mark here. As Summit and Rascal, they're dueling it up here in top.
This is one lane that's become a bit more fun to watch. Summit using the double dash to get away from the bear trap on the rope. But this is a great time to go for a gank. Can Cuzz land it? Trying to burn that flash burst. There it is. And he can't go for the ultimate. Finally is going to throw it in just to secure the kill, as First Blood is going to come in for Kingzone in the top lane.
And it's a really big First Blood, too. You end up getting Summit's flash. You get all lane control now for the Kled. And even though Ghost and Joker, they're pushing in down at bottom. Now, Deft doesn't have teleport. They might be thinking that they can get some turret plates down here. But at what cost will it end up incurring for Sandbox? Deft's going to have teleport in a second. He's going to be able to come back to this lane super, super refreshed. And so Sandbox, they're trying to get as much damage as possible. Oh!
Okay. Take another look here at the top lane and how the skank happened.
But just using the ultimate, Summit tries to flash, but realistically, there's no way out of this for him. As Kled and Sejuani now up here in top lane.
Yeah, I like how they do that. They bully the guy without flash, push him away, and then they threaten a 2-on-1 onto OnFleek, so he has to back away. Stop the Rift Herald from going down here. We'll see how much longer they can stop it for. See that Cuzz is going to back away. They've been able to get some vision on it now, so they can handle that. We haven't talked too much about the mid lane. It's been going relatively even so far. A slight lead for Naehyun, but nothing too out of control right now.
And Rascal and Summit just trading with one another, ever so slightly. Oh man.
Will we have another kill in this game?
Not until 19 minutes.
Oh yeah, we gotta make sure it's only 1 kill per minute.
One.
That's how we let the 12-year-olds in chat watch. We gotta keep the violence down to a minimum. We got triple control ward around this Rift Herald. Sandbox are really not messing around. They want to take it here and use it before 14 minutes.
Well, neither ADC is able to join the fight.
Right.
And so, I would imagine this would be beneficial for Kingzone.
They're trying to leash that, but it's not going to happen. The spike comes in, and who's that going to go to? Not even 100% sure, as Tom Kench is going to go down already. As the Olaf pushing forward, but gets burst down before he can do anything. And Rascal's going to outplay Dove. And now Dove is in a terrible spot, but the CC is going to miss.
Did they scan it?
From the side of Naehyun. And, well, it looks like Dove should be getting away, but at the end of the day, 2 more kills going to go the way of Kingzone. Can we make it a third here at Summit? He's not going to have that healing, but he will be able to get out alive for now. But here's TusiN going in for the flash. Will be able to pick up the kill, but will trade for it. It does mean that the Kled can get some pressure up in the top lane, deny a lot of CS and XP, so it does work out in the end.
And that was a really crucial team fight that just took place. Had TusiN got the reset on Pyke, with his ultimate, that would have been absolutely catastrophic. We'll take a look at it one more time as the smite goes the way of Sandbox, but like I was saying, I couldn't imagine how Sandbox could win this. Now, had TusiN gotten the Pyke ultimate reset, just imagine the gold swing that goes into Kingzone's favor, and it's so bizarre to see them.
You're dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Handshaking stuff like this.
Had a bit of a 4-on-1 in the bottom side. We'll get a closer look at exactly how it happened. I think it was just a tether under turret into having to blow Feather Storm and then not even bothering to flash. So the Rift Herald did go the way of Sandbox. They're going to use it bot to pick up that turret. The first one of the game will go their way.
Shuttlecraft now going to be picked up. Ocean Dragon is alive. The real problem still remains, though, in that how is Sandbox going to find a way to really accelerate an advantage? And also, the Renekton not getting the kind of advantages he would have liked this game.
Looking for Summit here, trying to land that stun is going to make it happen, but the double dash over the wall means that Renekton will be very safe up in the top side. Second Ocean Drake picked up here from Sandbox. Not half bad to have all that regen.
And a Cloud Drake to accompany it. Gonna really make the Typhoon. As Deft staying around a little bit longer than he probably would have liked after being killed underneath his turret.
Looked better on the Ezreal.
Yeah.
He really hasn't had much of a laning phase, though, against Karma, Tom Kent. So, not much to look at down there. He's just been trying to farm and get behind. And now Summit is going to double dash away. Cuzz still thinking about it here if Summit is going to play with fire, but it's not quite going to happen.
Rascal does have XP lead up there in top lane, but it does look like Summit is going to recall. Maybe has Black Cleaver right now, which would be a really big recall here for him on the Renekton. He does have it indeed. I'm going to turn right back up to top lane. And so Olaf has the Black Cleaver too. Now the thing that's really great about this is when they had the Jace and the Kha'Zix, they opted for lethality, but now with Rise and Karma, it is imperative to get those that armor shred for the team composition.
Hell yeah! I gotta love it. The strats coming in. Rascal has been kind of an unlucky Rascal up in the top side. He's 0-0-4. He has been not able to pick up any of the kills from his team so far. Nice little ward here is going to spot for Cuzz. Good game sense out of Summit. Whereas Sandbox, you can tell they're looking to put on pressure in the mid lane. But honestly, against Xayah, not much is going to happen there. So against the Karma Tom Kench, we might have a little bit of a lull in this game.
Oh, we definitely will. Dove trying to get a side lane split push going. And even though on paper their team composition has options to 1-3-1, it's not likely against a Kled. It becomes such a thin line to walk. Fettle is just so fast at collapsing everything. The teleport channel time, sometimes really hard to balance around, but also the fact that the Renekton's behind makes it even more difficult. Oh, TusiN might just...
Oh. Who's beating who is the real question. TusiN gonna see it with his own eyes that the Olaf was in the top side. And will now back away. Level 8 because he's been roaming so much. And now, without his support, we're trying to collapse here on the mid lane. That Sejuani just so tanky. Going in onto Joker, but it's not going to do enough damage. He is able to flash away from that one without even blowing heal. It feels like Sandbox got the better of that trade in the end. The Sejuani now Pretty low, has to back away, and the push is on as Sandbox are looking for this mid turret.
There's the mantra to E. Out of
go. We're going in. We're trying to dive deep here. In goes the Olaf. Naehyun has to get away from that one. The Feather's not going to save his life. And another kill is going to come down here as Sandbox are finally fighting back.
Sandbox getting some momentum now inside of this game, and that came at a really key timing. It looked like Joker was going to go down, but the stopwatch able to buy enough time, and then because Kingzone's ultimates were all mistimed with one another, they don't have that burst inside of it needed to carry them throughout the remaining team fight. And also, it's still very early on in the game. Take a look at what is happening underneath the turret. Sandbox was hellbent on getting this tier 1. And Kingzone, they seemed keen on trying to hold it together. Deft could not get any lockups there with the feathers from Xayah. And so we come back into live. It's a 2,000 gold advantage for Sandbox. And this is where Sandbox's team composition, like I talked about earlier on in the draft, this is where it gets really, really strong before it will start tapering off.
Yeah, this is the moment where you would love to be a Sandbox with the lead. They just wish they could have gotten some better Drakes and perhaps a better fight around the Rift Herald. That would have been the ideal scenario, but other than that, I feel like the game has been going decently well for Sandbox now, but Kingzone trying to get on in here. They're looking to pile on to Dove. They're going to miss that, but look for the Olaf, but a really nice devour as it will bait Rascal into the backline. Has to back away from that one. And now they're trying to burst down the Renekton. Do they have the damage? Not quite, as the ultimate is not going to land there, but finally the Renekton goes down to the Xayah somehow, but Tom Kench goes in alone and is trying to just bait them all into it. Will be able to do exactly that. They're going to take out 3 more, and Sandbox will win the fight.
It's a huge victory as well for Sandbox. You can see the ping going down now onto the Baron with Karma and Rise. It's really easy to sustain through this, especially with double Ocean Dragon. Now, the curious thing for me, though, is that you have teleport on Deft, teleport on Naehyun, Rascal's still alive. Could this be...
All right, well, we got TPs coming in. This is Deft.
Teleport on Tom Kench. No, they're going to get it.
Yeah, it's really not much that Deft can do rather than try to throw a couple of feathers at it and steal it. Not quite going to happen, as it did get pretty low before the smite came in. But either way, that's a very clean Baron, going to go the way of Sandbox. I'm just glad that we have a bit of a series on our hands now. We were thinking that maybe Kingzone were just going to plow through the Sandbox team, but Sandbox went back to the drawing board after game number 1 and are really putting on a great performance so far. Yeah,
and we see in this replay right here, things were looking okay for Kingzone, but TusiN on the pike, not finding the best spots for his ultimate or for the follow-ups mid-fight. You can even see here he's whipped on the R one more time, and that was all that Sandbox really needed to turn this around. Then it was basically autopilot.
What a god. What a savant, as you would say. Winning by himself looked like the silliest catfish alive. But then he actually baited 3 more members of Kingzone into dying. He was actually the martyr that made it all happen for the side of Sandbox.
Deft, he's going to pick up the red as Summit. Now he's back on even footing with the Kled. Spear of Sojin almost completed.
Looking to lock up Summit here, but there is a tier 1 turret still available, guys. And your mid lane's being pushed. Might want to be careful about that one. Sejuani not in position now. We have 2 lanes being pushed by Sandbox once they realize this.
Well, they are going to raise some turrets during all this. They're going to get the mid tier 2 as well as the bot tier 2. Summit should be able to get the top tier 1 as well. That should extend the gold lead to about 7,000 after all the minions are picked up by Kingzone. This is the exact kind of advantage Sandbox wants approaching the mid to late transition so that they're able to still go toe-to-toe in the later stages of the game. Spear of Sojin probably going to be completed off this recall. Beautiful usage of the Rise ultimate to get this top tier 2 as well.
Realm Warp comes in, and that means fast rotatos from the side of Sandbox, trying to push it in to the top side. Just got to wait for the next wave here with the cannon, and still got a minute left on this Baron, so it's not so bad right now. A lot of damage coming down onto Ghost, but hey, you're up against Karma. So not much of that is going to stick in the end. Looking to play this real slow. I think at this point, Sandbox would like the one inhibitor and maybe to back. Rascal certainly thinking about an engage, but with Pyke and Xayah going back home, they'll have to wait on that one. Shields come out, and now they're trying to get on top of that Olaf. Immediately, a ton of damage does come out from the King's Own side. Have the speed, but oh, Deft's gonna be chunked out so big. Look at this Rise, just in the forefront, just nuking people down, as Cuzz had to swiftly retreat away from that one, and finally Sandbox get the prize at the end, that one inhibitor in the top lane.
And they get the top inhibitor. Now, it's not the most valuable because of the proximity to Baron, but it will come in handy when Sandbox starts potentially looking for Elder in the later stages of the game, because then it's going to be the furthest inhibitor from the Elder Dragon. And Sandbox are definitely looking like they can easily cruise to a 5 Elemental Dragon Elder if the game even needs to get to that point. As King's Own, they're going to have their work cut out for them trying to come back into this game now. They are definitely behind at 8,000 gold deficit right now at 26 minutes. If this was 39, 40 minutes in the game, wouldn't really matter about 8, 9, 10,000 gold deficit if you were King's Own, but the way that it currently stands, you're going to need to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Pretty much. I think it's an average of, 1,700 gold-ish advantage for each player over the other opposing player on King's Own. So big advantage here, and a lot of that gold is in the Rise. Take a look at this guy who is almost at that Rabadon's death cap, 303. Has the most gold in the game, and already he's just beginning to chunk people out. So you can only imagine how he's going to be doing as the game comes along.
Naehyun going to be getting the Guardian Angel, most likely as his next item. That's a really good way to help against the Pyke. Olaf already has it. And you can just see that at this stage of the game, these kind of item completions, because of the gold advantage, makes it so difficult for King's Own to really function as a team composition. It's not as simple for Kled to just press R, dive in at someone, and then instantly make the play to 5 versus 4. It's not very easy for Pyke to get his resets, and that's because of the item disparity. If they were down on GAs, or if they were down on death cap completion, it becomes much easier for King's Own, even if they're down a couple thousand gold, to take a team fight and be okay with it. But Sandbox in this game are just such a giant right now in terms of momentum with all the dragons as well. And with Baron already on the agenda again, I don't know how King's Own's supposed to win this outside of miracle Pyke resets or just Deft being a god.
Well, I think it's going to take a lot of those things that you did just mention. We're getting on in the fight, but none of this damage is sticking. Finally, Olaf is going to get low, but Naehyun, nice timing there on the stopwatch to get away from this one, but Summit, a huge wrecking ball in the front line. Rascal, extremely low, nearly gets chunked down. Does have that one. Can he burst the Rise? No, he does have the Zonias, but they'll take down the top catch. Where's the reset going to come in? It will come in, as a ton of gold going to go the way of the Pyke, but Naehyun is going to go down in the end, and Pyke can't do it all alone, although he may try. And Cuzz, the only one left standing, will also go down, and Sandbox going to win this fight and push on to win the game.
And this is a really important comeback win for Sandbox in the sense that after game number 1, it was such a blowout that to see them come back into game number 2, close out the game, get an advantage, and not basically botch it, it's potentially making up for a really good series that we might have on our hands.
Yeah, definitely a good game coming in there from the boys on Sandbox. Really showed that even when you get bopped on stage as hard as they did in the last game, they can still have the mental fortitude to come back and say, actually, we're better than that, and we are going to show you right now. And the draft looked better, the play looked better. Overall, it's the Sandbox we expected in this series. And now it raises questions about Kingzone. You know, Kingzone, they were able to defeat FLICKR, but FLICKR looked lost themselves. But if Sandbox comes back into full form, into full power, I think a lot of people, if they had known that that would be the way it would go for the whole series, they would have voted for Sandbox coming into this one.
Yeah. We'll have to see what game number 3 has in store, because as I mentioned earlier on, this is a really battle of mental fortitude for both of these teams.
Best of 5s are not easy. You know,
no, they're not.
Best of 3s in the regular season are, you know, it's kind of like you're going to your regular job. You're showing up to work, you sit at your desk, you do your thing. But then best of 5s are like the presentations where you have to prepare. You have to get in there. You have to show your best face, your best performance, and there's more people watching. And that's why it really is a battle of mental fortitude. We're taking another look here at the last fight where Kingzone actually nearly was able to pull it off with the pike. Well,
they were almost looking like they were going to potentially be okay, but watch Dove. Deft probably just didn't know what was going on. As, yeah, he gets brought down instantly. Now, the only refinement...
in like half a second.
Dove couldn't really do anything. The only refinement there, maybe for Kingzone, would be Deft to go into the brush and try to utilize brush play, or flash into the brush.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. But Sandbox, they never really gave away their advantage after it was handed back to them in the mid-game. In the Rise, showing up really big. And another thing that I want to talk about is we saw that even after Rascal was given advantages in top lane, couldn't really accelerate it all that much. And that's going to be one of the defining characteristics. But also, on the flip side, you saw Kama and Tom Kench and what it meant for Deft struggling to get advantages.
Yeah.
The neutralizing champion picks are so important in this series.
Absolutely. The Karma is looking stronger in this series than a lot of other series. We've seen her here in Korea. So could be a sticking point for the next pick ban that we do go into. Also the Tom Kent seeing a lot of play. And even the Olaf. 2 wins on the Olaf once again against everything in the universe. He's getting wins. But either way, guys, we'll see what happens after this break.
또 붙어갔다.
싹 났어.
천천히 가봐 천천히 가봐 진짜 나쁘지 않아 이거 저거 좀 일단 나한테 손
얘네
잘해줘
내가 먹었다.
손 잘해줘 손 잘해줘 이거 같은 사람
저요.
천천히
가볼게.
천천히 오케이 좋아 거기 가요
옆에 일로 여기
집 가다 태봐줄게.
가자
천천히 가봐
아, 그냥 가줄게.
나
만타를 칠수 있어
아, 라이트 죽었다, 이거. 아, 해봐.
괜찮아
야, 해봐.
가 우리가 이겨
여기 잘렸어 안돼? 오케이
네네네 가
가자
나이스.
나이스 끝났다 나이스
가자
아, 되는구나.
되지 이거 우리 싸움 질 수가 없어
이 라이즈가 죽으면서 딜을 너무 잘 봤다. 이상하게 물린 것 같아서.
조금 빨랐다 조금 나 먹기